what's your favorite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it over? Where did all go? Why do we know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, the podcast where two best friends and comedy writers ask each other questions and give each other answers. I am one half of that podcast, author of How to Fight President, senior writer for Last Week Tonight, and guy who never sneezes, Daniel O'Brien, joined as always by my co-host. He's an American dad, a family guy, someone who loves his kids so much you could say he's a simp for his son, the Animaniac himself, Mr. Soren Bowie. Soren, what's going on?
Hey, Daniel.
Oh my God.
Just drinking some tea. I'm feeling cozy.
Okay.
I'm gonna be going up to the mountains real soon where there's gonna be what do you call that stuff? It's the snow. And I'm working on being a cozy guy before I go.
Okay. This is
I have a scarf on. You didn't ask, but I'm telling you. I have a scarf on.
You know what? I've decided I'm not going to be mad at you for this because you know what I've been getting into is
meditation.
No, I've been into meditation for years,
And that's not working. Huh? You need something new.
I've been wandering around in like an apartment sweater, not a pullover, like one of those open ones, like a cheap black sweater from Amazon or something from a couple years ago that I don't wear out often.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the most fashionable thing in the world. But just having like a cozy little walk around the apartment sweater that I put on every day over my walking around the apartment t-shirt and joggers. I'm really into it.
I gotta get in a sweater.
Really into this cozy life. Do you?
I gotta get one of those sweaters before this trip. I hope it arrives in time.
Do you think you'll get any energy at any point during this podcast? Do you think I can expect that from you? Our listeners can expect that from you.
I feel like that would be wrong. The way that I'm holding my hands around this cup with my mug with both hands and my shoulders are up, kind of like I feel like a real fun hyper energy is not right for this pose.
I do also want to say, and our listeners can disagree in the comments or whatever, I just as an outside perspective, just so you have a set of fresh eyes on this, I think you've taken too many sips in too short a time on your tea.
I'm getting pretty
I don't think you're enjoying it correctly.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty hot and I'm getting pretty wired. My throat is a mess. It feels terrible. Ouch.
Thanks to Rocket Money for supporting our podcast. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you, so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/QQ. You know what? I've been, I don't drink tea, but my like nighttime warm drink in this cold weather is I heat up some water and then I mix in some hot honey, like honey with a spice, not heat honey, hot honey, and a little bit of fresh lemon, and I have that just about every night. Oh,
yeah,
what a treat!
Spot, doesn't it? It's it gets to be like late September, and I start getting pumped because I'm like, I don't know. There's no rule against me drinking tea the rest of the year, but there's something feels weird about it when it's 4 or 5 in the afternoon and it's 92 degrees and I'm like, I'm going to get some sleepy time going or like some vanilla chamomile. It doesn't feel right. So like as soon as the weather even dips a little bit, I get pumped. And lately it's been pretty cold here. Even though it's been sunny, it's been cold. And boy, I am in like full blown tea season right now.
Yeah. It's also very cold here now again.
Yeah, you're real cold though.
Yeah.
You know how I know? You said that there was a smoke alarm in the snow.
Yeah. We had a very short but very intense snowstorm Monday morning or Tuesday morning of this week. I can't remember. And we're fine. It cleared up. It stopped snowing around noon, and then the sun came out and melted off a lot of the stuff. But right around 5:30 in the morning, it was really bad. And I was woken up because my dog was barking at firemen who were outside. The firemen were outside because the unit next to mine had an alarm going off that alerted the fire department. Either the alarm did or another neighbor was like, hey, fire department, there's an alarm going off and it won't stop and it's 5:30 in the morning. Please come over here. The alarm was going off in a unit that is being renovated at the moment and there is no one home. So the firemen had to use their fire ladder to climb into the house, into the unit through their balcony, and then they ripped the alarm out of the wall and then left it on the stoop that I share with this unit. So there was just a beeping alarm buried in the snow for the rest of that day for me.
As somebody who has smoke alarms in my house,
Yeah.
would you like me to call them and tell them how to stop that beeping?
Call the fire department?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it
that would
doesn't
be
seem
great.
like maybe they know.
No. And they had like 9 guys on it. And they still couldn't resolve that singular issue.
I'll give them a little jingle. I know how
Yeah.
to take care of that issue. It's pretty easy. What they don't know is that there's actually there's a connection both in the ceiling where you put that, and then there's also a 9-volt in there. I could get on that for you.
Can I tell you my other quick
Please.
apartment thing? This was maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that. Doesn't matter for the story, Daniel. But Jackson started behaving oddly at like 8:30 p.m., which is rare for him. So I thought something must be up outside, maybe a critter or something. So we go downstairs to investigate, and there's no critter, but there is a girl I've never seen before who was standing on my
Nice.
stoop and trying to, it looked like knock on the door of the unit that was 2 doors down from mine to my left. And as soon as she sees me, she says, "Oh, you're home. I'm really sorry. I just moved in to this building." And then she pointed to a unit that was about 5 doors down to my right. So already none of this story is making immediate sense to me. Like, I just moved in here, but I don't have the passcode to get in to my unit because I forgot it because we just moved in like literally 3 days ago. And also, I was dropped off here by a friend, so I don't have a car here. And my phone died.
Oh, good.
So
There
I
we
can't
go.
I can't call my parents to get the code to get into the house or to have anyone get me. Can I borrow your phone? Also, oh, what a lovely dog. And she's petting my dog this whole time. And I was like, you can borrow my phone, but if it's all right with you, you have to dial it in front of me. And I just need to make sure you're not like using my Venmo to steal my money or scam me in some way. She goes, I don't think I would even know how to do that. I was like, well, I'm convinced. And she calls a couple of numbers on speakerphone, which is either a nice gesture or just how young people talk on phones now. I still don't actually
being
know.
kind to you, probably.
And a couple of numbers don't pick up at all. Finally, she was like, let me try one more number. Let me try my sister. And she calls her sister and explains the situation to her sister. It's like, my phone died and I'm locked out. I don't know how to get here. And the sister goes, ugh, and hangs up the phone.
Oh.
And then I guess the sister calls the parents and then calls her back on my phone. And I was like, yeah, mom says you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be at the old house. And the girl's like, well, I didn't know that. And I'm here. I was dropped off. I'm literally just standing outside using some other guy's phone, my neighbor's phone. And her sister's like, well, mom won't be there for another 30 minutes. Well, what do you want me to do? Could you just go inside your neighbor's apartment?
Oh, no.
Could you just like, and she goes, that seems weird to me. She's like, well, it's weird that you're using his phone, so just ask him. And then I go, hey, haha, you're on speaker. I can hear you. I'm the neighbor.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that I can hear this conversation. And right at this moment is when my girlfriend Shay is getting home from work after driving 3 hours round trip to the city where she works. And she just sees me on the stoop with some stranger speaking into my phone on speaker and another voice. And I'm just like, you two girls, you sort this out. I'm going to go sort a different thing out with my girlfriend now. And I was like, hey, I know you are just coming back from work in the city and everything. But I explained the situation to her, and she's just like, okay, so does she need to come into our house now to wait for her ride? I was like, yes, absolutely. And we let this person into our house, and everything seems totally fine. As far as I know, she did not, this is not part of a scam. I have since seen her parents move them in to this unit in my building that they're just going to live in temporarily. And I was also thrown because at no point did I have any idea how old this person was, because you and I are in our 40s or whatever. And so everyone is young.
Yeah, it sounded like she was saying, like, this girl is like 14 years old, the way they're talking to her sister and her mom.
She is 15.
Yeah, there we go.
I didn't know that. I just let this person in my house thinking I'm going to ask her what she does or what she's studying, not realizing that she's 15. So she does nothing and studies nothing. Right. She just studies like high school things.
She studies what they tell her to study, yeah.
Right. So that immediately set me at ease as far as like, oh, okay, she's not like, 15-year-olds can't be criminals. They can't do crimes. So there's nothing for us to fear. But we just sat around, Shay and I, talking to this 15-year-old being like, so what is it like being 15 now in the world? She had not a single question for us, by the way. I have
she's 15.
Right. I have, at this point, 2 Emmys displayed in our home that she did not mention once. And she didn't ask us what we do or what our lives are like. She just sort of like sat on the couch petting the dog. We're like, so social media for a 15-year-old.
Oh, no.
That's got to be interesting, huh? What are the kids on? Do you ever track down your teacher's private social media accounts so you can learn weird stuff about them? She goes, no, that never even occurred to me as a thing. We've always had social media, so it's just not interesting. I'm like, huh. Because if I was 15 and someone told me that my teacher had a Twitter account somewhere, that's all I would think about. All I would want to do is try to find information about my teachers in their real lives. Not to dox them, but just because I couldn't think of anything more fascinating to me as a 15-year-old. And she's just like, yeah, that's not something I do. Like, okay.
In fact, let's do it right now. Let's try and find my teacher. I'm going to pull up Twitter. Don't look those number of followers. Don't pay attention to that. That's something. I'm a big deal with kids your age.
What are you thinking about for college? I haven't really thought about it. I don't really know why I'd go to college.
So jealous of this girl.
Cool. Really, really neat. So, like, what do you do?
Can I ask, Daniel,
yeah,
when you first saw her and she was trying to get into an apartment that was 5 away from hers.
Yeah.
Did you look at her shoes?
No.
Ah, God damn it.
Sorry, man. Well, there's every bit of it was confusing to me, and there are so many new scams in the world that I don't understand. We're researching for a possible future episode of Last Week Tonight about a type of scam that, in like, anytime you get one of those, have you ever gotten a text where someone is like, hey, John, are we still on for dinner tonight?
Of course. I get several of those.
And you're like, no, sorry, this isn't John. And you're like, oh man, damn, that's the wrong number. That is a scam eventually. And it's called pig butchering for reasons that you can find out if you Google it. But like, it's one of those scams that even when I would get those text messages and I knew it was a scam and not to engage, I didn't know how it would eventually be a scam, how a wrong number on a text could result in me losing my life savings, as many people have done. But that just is like a sign of our times, that so many things can be a scam because technology moves so quickly that I don't understand anything. So as there's this girl on my stoop who was like, hey, I tried to get into apartment number 3. I just moved into apartment number 14. My phone is dead. Can I call my sister on speakerphone? Can I put several different phone numbers into your phone? And I'm like, man, that all sounds like normal stuff to me, but if I get scammed, there's a cop in a police station who's like, Did she, was it the old Tennessee switch where she pointed to one unit and said, I moved to another unit and then dialed a couple of numbers? Yeah, that's how they steal your car.
Oh, and you let her?
It's one of those things that's going to sound, that could sound like a scam in retrospect, like a very obvious scam. But I don't know it at the time. I'm just so confused and fearful of everything for this woman that is either 12 or 30.
Yeah, I bet here's the other element that I was also I was going to ask about, but the fact she's 15 kind of clears it up for me, which is she also acknowledging that this is a crazy fucking situation at the same time?
That was the thing so when I immediately, no.
Yes.
And when I immediately told this story to my friends who are my age, the ones that I've grown up with, the women in this group chat especially were like, at 15 years old, I would never get into a stranger's home ever under any circumstances.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's right. That should have also made me more suspicious that this 15-year-old girl on a stranger's stoop, before Shay had shown up, before there was a woman involved, before she knew that I was not just like a single guy by myself, she and her sister were already like, the reasonable plan is for you to go into the home of the stranger with your dead phone and no way for anyone to track you whatsoever.
Right.
Both of them thought that was a reasonable thing to do at 15. Not something I would do, not something any of my friends would do.
Right. Oh. God, I didn't even think about that. But yes, you know what? It's the same as when somebody on the street asks me for directions, I immediately resent them because what it means is that they're looking at somebody who they're like, well, he's hapless. Nothing's going to happen to me here. This guy's, and I don't want to look dangerous, but I also, I don't want to look like a schlub who couldn't even be, it wouldn't even be possible. Right. You know? And so I understand what you're feeling.
I can't tell if she is very trusting or if I'm very unassuming or what. The one mystery that got cleared up, why she was going to knock on the door of a unit where she didn't live and didn't know the person who did live there, is because she said she thought
Can I guess?
Yeah, sure.
She wants to go work out in there. She thinks it's vacant.
What a callback. No, she thought she heard their TV on and thought that meant someone was home. And so she could go in there and talk to them. This was a young gal who at no point thought strangers are dangerous and you shouldn't go in their homes. Right. She was no matter what, was like, well, this person seems home, so I'm sure they will help me. Which is, maybe an optimistic way to live.
I'll just try the doorknob here. I'll see if that opens right up. Head on inside.
Oh, they're asleep. Well, I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable with a stranger looming over them, so I'll just crawl right into the bed.
When they wake up, we'll get this all sorted out. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I do feel like there's a lot in this story of maybe she's crazy or maybe kids are trusting and uninterested in things these days. I also took a good hard look at myself that I could definitely be scammed by any number of things that I just don't understand because I'm vigilant, but I don't think vigilant about the right things. Yeah. I was like, you gotta use the phone in front of me so I know that you're not clicking the Venmo button and sending yourself money.
I think using the phone in front, that all makes so much sense to me. I think that I think you were doing the exact right thing because the phone feels like the pivotal piece of the scam if there was one.
You would think that, and then I realized I let this person into my home.
Yeah, no.
Well, I thought I was so clever being like, let me see you use the numbers on the phone so that I know that you are not sending yourself money from my Venmo account, which is at the moment empty. And I was like, good. Now that I've safeguarded against everything, I shall let her into my home where, I don't know, maybe her parents will pick her up or maybe 8 youths will run into the building.
Right.
I don't know that.
Soren, I have some bad news. She drained our Patreon. She got all $27.
Yeah.
I know you were counting
took
on
our
that.
Patreon, filled up her tank of gas. She could be all the way to 3 towns over by now. Hey, you know me, I love things. I subscribe to a bunch of things. There's so many streamers out there and so many packages to subscribe for things. I have completely lost track of what I'm subscribed to. And because I just recently moved in with someone, that's 2 households worth of subscriptions. We had to turn to Rocket Money to help us streamline what we did and didn't need. Rocket Money finds your subscriptions, the ones that you forgot about, and the ones that you might have paid for twice and didn't realize, and they cancel them for you. If I asked you how many subscriptions you have, would you be able to list all of them and how much you're paying? If you would have asked me this question before I started using Rocket Money, I'd have said yes, but let me tell you, I would have been wrong. Dead wrong. I can't believe how many I had and all the money I was wasting. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. I can see all of our subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. I never have to get on the phone with customer service or one of the robots that replaced customer service. They'll even try to get you a refund for the last couple of months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million subscribers and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/QQ. That's rocketmoney.com/QQ. rocketmoney.com/QQ.
You're reminding me of a thing that happened to me when I lived in Santa Monica. I would bike to work when we were working on the promenade, and there was one day where I was biking home. It's like 7 in the evening, and it's starting to drizzle. And there's a woman who flags me down, and I stop, and she's like, "Thank you for stopping. Will you go into my apartment and get my jacket?" And she's like pointing up at this building where there's like maybe like 3 stories, and then she's pointing to this middle one. She's pointing to a window. She's like, "It's right there. I need you to go get my jacket. I can't go in there because my boyfriend's in there." And I was like, "No." She was like, and she gave me this look like, "Are you kidding me? Like, why won't you just help me?" And I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. And like, to overcome your instinct to be a hero, to somebody needs something and you're like, oh, I can do that. I have legs. I can, and a hand that opens a door. I was like, to overcome that and be like, no, I'm not going to do that. This sounds like something is waiting for me up there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And so I didn't.
think that's the right instinct.
And so I rode away, and she continued gawking at me and she was so insulted and angry that this person wouldn't just do her this kindness. And thinking back on it, I'm like, I wonder if there was some sort of situation where abuse was happening. I also don't want to go in that apartment, but I maybe could have done something else. Also, she was not acknowledging that it was a crazy thing to ask somebody.
Yes.
She gave me just a little bit of information and then was mad that I had the audacity to say no. So I was like, no, that was something was going to happen to me.
Yeah. I think that is what separates me from this person in your story and this young gal in my story, is that if I was ever in a position where I was completely stranded and locked out of something and my phone was dead and I had to rely on a stranger, I feel like I'm really working on my preamble, just to get right out of the way. Is like, let me start by saying I understand how crazy this is, and I absolutely know that you have no reason to trust me on this. It's a wild circumstance, and you have every reason to think that what I'm doing is related to a scam, even if you can't exactly put the pieces together for why it is a scam. I'm really sorry. Is there something I can give you to establish trust? Here is my wallet or whatever. All I need is a charge for a phone, or for you to dial a number that I give you to call someone to help me. And if you don't, I totally understand, but just know that I'm trapped and alone and lost. And again, I know that this is crazy, and this is how murders start in movies. Some kind of acknowledgement.
Yeah, you have to say over and over, absurd. "I'm sorry." Like, I'm so sorry to to interject myself into your life, basically. And I'm just thinking of how that would disarm me. Like, yeah, there's if somebody immediately was like, I'm so sorry to ask this of you. Please look at my shoes.
Yeah.
Now know that everything's okay. I'm in a really strange circumstance and I need some help. And I don't want any money. I don't want anything like that. I just need to use your phone. Like, yeah, I'm trying to think of what I would be, what would disarm me. And I think that's what it would be. That's wild, man. That's crazy.
It is wild. And like everything did work out. I'm glad that it was all
Did someone come pick her up from your apartment?
Not from my apartment. They just called my number when her parents were there in the parking lot to go get her. Like no one, that was another slightly weird part of it, that the parents didn't even come by to be like, thank you so much for taking in our daughter. That might be the weirdest part of it now that I'm saying it out loud, that no one was like, hey, we really appreciate this. She could have ended up in anyone's house and we're glad that she ended up in your house and you offered her water and kept her warm and listened to her talk about social media, I guess, or whatever we did.
What the fuck? The parents didn't say anything to you?
No, they just we were sitting there chatting, and then my phone rang with a number that I didn't know. So I was like, I think it's for you. She picked up the phone. She was like, yeah, okay, they're here. Thanks again. Do you want me to close the door on my way out? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Unless that's also part of the scam.
That part real. I mean, 15-year-olds, I don't understand anyway. Whatever they do, I'm like, yeah, it's just normal 15-year-old stuff. But the parents did not come and say anything to you is fucking crazy.
Yeah. How stupid would I feel if she was in my home and Shay and I are just sitting on the couch and then she pulls a gun out of her bag and then a bunch of her friends come in to rob the house. And then as I'm talking to the police later, I'm just like, yeah, I thought once I made her dial the phone on speakerphone that the threat had been neutralized.
He just gives you that look like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could have been an as good as it gets situation.
Right.
And where you're painting her and like it's going really great. And then all of a sudden her friends come in and ransack the place and hit you with a pipe.
I know. It could have been that.
It could have easily, and she's called. You've only ever heard her talk to one person, like it.
Yeah,
but
it does. It certainly makes me realize how, like difficult it would be to be in her position. Not that she had at any point seemed stressed or actually nervous, but she's got my phone and she tries to call both of her parents, and neither of them pick up, and it's like. Yeah, of course not, because it's a number they don't know. And like if my phone died and I needed to take a stranger's phone and call someone, that first of all, there are only a few numbers that I have memorized. And one of them is not my girlfriend's. And one of them is my childhood home that has been disconnected. But like I would call my brother or my mom or my dad. Those are numbers that I have memorized. And I have no guarantee that they would pick up, because why would they? They would just see a random phone number.
So she wasn't leaving messages either?
No.
Well,
I know.
I'm jealous of this 15-year-old Daniel.
Yeah.
I hate that that's my first reaction, but I'm super jealous of her. I'm jealous.
Either incredibly stupid or incredibly sheltered, or just like 15-year-olds, maybe they just know in the back of their heads, like, I'm never actually in danger.
I'm immortal.
Because of Snapchat or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that she has no ambitions. She's got doesn't give a shit about you.
No.
That these are just people that appear throughout her life that she can like to hold her up.
Yeah.
is really, I'm so jealous of that. I wish I could walk through my life that way. I would travel so much. All right. Well, I'm glad that you told me a story, because I want to tell you one too. And today, this won't be a quick question. This will just be story time with Soren and Daniel. You know what? Let's switch it around this time. Well, instead of instead of the naming that we usually do, let's do story time with Daniel and Soren. I mean,
Whoa!
you deserve your fair shake. You should be at the front of the marquee. Okay, top billing for Daniel.
Here we go.
I went to a singles event recently. Does that surprise you?
I mean, I'm laughing because I have to assume it's a misunderstanding of some kind, or like you were someone's chaperone or something. This would be a terrible way for me to react if that was your way of saying like, well, I'm divorced now and I went to a singles event, and I immediately laughed at you.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not divorced. Widowed. No, I went to a singles event because I didn't know it was a singles event. My friend Sam and I, you know Sam Bergen, right?
Yeah.
Shout out Sam Bergen.
Advertising.
Great guy. Works in advertising. He and I, we meet up maybe once a month and we get drinks. And we always end up going to this same bar, even to the point where I went back and looked through our thread and we had just agreed on when to get drinks and we never said where we were going. Like, that's how often we go to this one place because it's in between the two of us. We like it. It's quiet. And he got there maybe 5 minutes before I did. And he texts me and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know it's singles night here. Do you want to go somewhere else? And I was like, is it the whole bar? And he's like, I can't tell. And I'm like, nah, it's fine. Let's just stay here. So I show up, I walk through this group of people and they all have name tags on, but there's a tent out front, not out front, in the interior of the bar, but a separate section. And it's clear that's where it looks like this whole thing is relegated to. I walk in and I have to walk through this thing. And the minute I step in the door, I've never felt more like a celebrity. Everyone there is clocking whoever comes in, male or female, because they have good reason to. And so all these eyes, conversations just stop and everyone looks at me and glances and then keeps continuing their conversation. I go find Sam and I'm like, wow, it's crazy out there, right? And he's like, yeah, it was. He's like, everyone looked at me when I came in. I was like, yes. And so we're like, okay, well, we're inside the interior of the bar now. I think that I'm through with it. What I didn't know at the time was that this thing is the entire bar. And it's everybody there is single, I guess. And they're all kind of talking to each other. There's a lot of people in groups too. So that's very confusing to me. A bunch of singles, all together. I didn't understand that. I don't know why you're not pairing off, but I haven't dated in a very long time.
No, but even as someone who was publicly single for branding purposes for many years and would sometimes go to bars, I think if you go to with the specific intention of meeting someone, going to a bar on singles night with your buddies trying to meet someone is functionally the same as going to a bar with your buddies any other night. I feel like if that hurts your cause, if you're just going to go, I understand you want a support group, but also that's defeating the entire purpose of singles night. You're supposed to be out there to be out of your support group and not fall into the easy habits of just shooting the shit with your buddies.
Right. So I've come in and I'll give you my mindset as I'm there. I'm not nervous or anything. I'm kind of pumped about it.
I'm glad you're not nervous.
I'm kind of pumped because I'm bringing something into this room, which is a confidence that they cannot possess, which is that I'm in a relationship and this night means nothing to me, which is that's an energy that you just carry. And I'm and so when all the eyes looked at me, I was like, oh, I must look like quite a catch. I'm bringing, I got a devil may care attitude that I'm bringing into this. And so
I'm pretty mad thinking about that. If I was one of the single guys who was just who, even if I knew your story and I knew you were off the market, you weren't competition for me. It's don't give anyone an example of easy confidence. Don't let them know what's out there. Even if you're not out there, just don't even invite it.
Yeah. And so I can feel their energy and they can feel mine. I'm assuming. I'm assuming a lot, but I can feel their energy and I'm I'm not it. Oh, you understand I have privilege. This is good. This feels nice. And went and sat down with Sam, feeling pretty high. within about 5 minutes of us sitting there talking, two people approach our table. It's a man and a woman. And the guy, I want to say, is probably like 26. And the woman is maybe 61.
Excellent.
And she comes up to our table and stands there till we stop talking and acknowledge her. And just stands, like, not like she's talking to her buddy. They come up, both shoulders squared to us as we're sitting down, and they're standing up, waiting for us to finish our conversation. Finally, we turn and look at her because that's a weird fucking thing to do. And she introduces herself to us and just starts like chatting like we're part of this thing. And she's like, I brought I can't remember the guy's name, Evan or something like that. She's like, I asked Evan to come in with me because I wanted to talk to you two. And so he was essentially on his own singles night being a wingman for this elderly woman.
Wow.
And here's where like the real blow comes in, because I'm already feeling great through having walked in and looking so good, looking like the catch of the day. And she goes, I saw you guys both come in, and it's so hard out there because I didn't realize no one else was going to be my age. And it's nice to see some people who are.
Whoa. Do you think she was making a joke or negging you?
That's what Sam suggested later. My first instinct is always like, she's being honest with me. What a terrible feeling. And so she says this to me, and I'm like, as like we're shaking hands. And I was like, oh, fuck, that didn't feel great. And on top of that, the way that she phrased it was suggesting to me, look, I'm not spoiled for choice. That's why I'm here. Like, man, at least you're my age. Clearly not my type. Clearly not very attractive men. But I'm going to do what I can because otherwise
you tick one of the boxes.
You're here and you're old. And and I was like, okay, yeah. And like, I keep looking at Sam, like, not the look I'm trying to convey to Sam is, do we look old? But instead I think it's coming off as, boy, this lady's crazy, huh? But I'm like trying to like look at him up and down. like, no, he's not giving off that vibe. He looks good. He's a very fashionable guy too. He is not graying like I am, and he's got a good head of hair. He's a handsome guy. And so like I'm like trying to like take this all in. And the other guy, Evan, is just sort of like standing there and like nodding his head like, yeah, you guys are old. I think you'll all hit it off. And
okay, yeah, because that's where all my questions were going. Is what's Evan's face saying at this point? Is he like shaking his head like, I've been stuck with this fucking lunatic all night? She thinks I'm 61 also. I'm really sorry to invite this crazy to your table.
No, I was getting nothing from Evan, and I was checking him too because I wanted somebody else there to be like, this is not a normal situation. But he's just nodding along. Also, Evan...
Right, you want the bartender to come over with a broom and be like, hey, shoot!
Get out of
here. You are different! Get away from them!
Not one of them. He is... Evan has some red flags. His name tag's a little crooked, but also Evan has a collar underneath his jacket that is so... like irrevocably fucked up. Like a collar that's like all folded and weird, and it looks like it didn't get ironed, so it's bending in some weird ways. And it's like a polo shirt collar that shouldn't be. It looks like it got left in a dryer for a very long time till it like for 3 days, and then you pulled it out and you're like, whatever, I'll put the shirt on anyway. And so it's like all folded, and we found out Evan had come all the way from the Valley to be at this event, which, to give everyone who's not in Los Angeles some context, he drove roughly 50 minutes to be at this event.
Yeah.
And I was like, Evan, you're wasting your time on this. Like, what are you doing? Unless, like, Evan, your hope was that by the end of the night, this is the lady that you liked, which is fine, but it looked to me like she just saw a guy by himself. He was desperate to talk to anybody. And so she used him. Anyway, she came up to us. She started talking to us. And it became pretty clear pretty early that we were not on the market. She asked if we were together. We said, no, we just love this bar. We come here and we're both married. she doesn't fuck off, Dan. she sticks around.
Excellent.
And it's one of those situations where I was talking earlier about the energy that we're giving. Keep in mind, we're both still sitting down and there's a woman standing over us at the edge of our table. And so she starts lamenting how difficult it is to meet somebody and for it to turn into anything. She's like, I see people that I think are attractive at the bank and we'll talk. But if he doesn't ask me out, then I don't know. I don't know what to do. That's the last I'll ever see of him. And we were like, can you just tell him?
Yeah.
And granted, neither one of us have been dating in a long time.
It's also just like such a telling detail for the age differences.
bank.
Where it's like, you know how you meet someone at a bank or like waiting in line at the red box to return something? It's like, oh, lady, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, Sam and I have had a postmortem on this since, and like I was trying to recall the details. I was like, didn't she say she like met somebody at a auto repair shop? And he's like, no, it was the fucking bank. I was like, oh yeah, the worst. Yeah, we are not on the same team. And so she's telling us like she meets people, she talks to them, and then it goes nowhere. And I was like, oh, that's sort of sad. And she's like, what dating websites did you guys use? And we're like, oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't. I'm like, well, she's like, well, what do your friends use? And we're like, oh, there's Bumble. And I was like remembering some Bumble stories from Daniel. And I was like, I know my wife's sister met her husband on Tinder. She's like, really, Tinder? Like she kept like chewing on the word. I was like,
oh boy,
you don't even know.
That's the famous one.
I know you don't even know what Tinder is. Evan's just nodding like a bobblehead. And then she's like, well, what would you do? Like, what would you do if you were me and you found somebody who was attractive and you wanted to tell them they were attractive? And I was like, I don't like where this conversation is going because I feel like at any second she's going to try it on us. And like, she's not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I already told her all of the things that suggest that this can't happen. So I tell her a story that happened to Sam and me. Sam and I went to a LAFC game, which is the really awesome, fun soccer team here in Los Angeles, in a stadium. I'm like getting nachos.
Of course. It stands for the LA Soccer Club, I want to say, is what those letters correspond to.
We're getting, like, I'm getting food. So I'm like getting condiments. I'm like piling some ketchup or whatever in a little cup. And I turn back around and Sam is talking to this woman and I don't know who she is, but she's close to him in a way that suggests affection. Like she's close enough that she has to look up to him. So her chin is up and she's kind of smiling and talking to him. And I'm like, is this an affair? Like Sam has run into somebody that he knows. He's talking to her and then she goes away. And I'm like, what was that? And he was like, she just came up to me and said, I caught her eye. And I was like, that fucking rules. Like, for the rest of the night, I was so pumped. I'm like telling people in the seats next to us and stuff like that. Like, I was so excited because that is such a cool thing to have happen in a stadium.
Yeah.
For someone to pick you out of a stadium and be like, hey, you caught my eye. Like that's such a nice, also, it's a great way to tell someone that they're attractive. So I'm telling this woman this story and she's like, I don't think that'll work. And I was like, well, you're fucking hopeless. Like this isn't going to work. Like what do you mean that's not going to work? I just told you that it works. It works on somebody who's like, I'm generations younger than you.
Yeah.
I want to like shout at this woman. And she's
also, you need to make it clear, like, listen, Soren has been in a couple for, I want to say 400 years. So the idea that you would get any relevant advice out of him is like, which, no disrespect to Soren, it just is unlikely. Yeah. And you're getting a great piece of advice regardless of all that, and you're throwing it away. You deserve to be single forever.
And so she's not, and she's like still, like she just wants to have a conversation with us, which I'm also sympathetic to. But
yeah,
I see Sam maybe once a month and I want her to just go away. And so eventually I just turn to Sam and I start asking him about what I want to talk to him about. Like, how did the Minions campaign go? Are you going to do the Super Bowl commercial? Like that kind of stuff. And she then sees that we are talking to each other. She turns and talks to Evan a little, then turns back to our table to see if we're going to continue talking to her. I don't. And so she does finally wander away. And afterwards, I was like, this was a mistake. we shouldn't have come here. And Sam's like, I don't think it's that bad. And I'm like, she thought we were her age. And he's like, I'm pretty sure that was a neg. And I was like, I don't think so. I think she's just a confused lady. I don't think she knows. I don't think she knows. I think she saw a guy with gray hair come in and she went, oh, thank God. And maybe to her credit, she may have just said it wrong, which she might have just thought, here's somebody who's clearly a decade older than everybody else at this singles event. That's the very closest I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Which also I didn't like either, because I want to walk into that thing and I want everybody, regardless of age, to look and go, that's what I want. That one right there. I'll take one of those. But yeah, it was a super weird experience. And then, yeah, he had a birthday later. I brought it up again at his birthday. And that's where we had like our denouement, like where we talked it over and like what had actually happened. And he's like, yeah, it was super weird. I could tell that you kept looking at me and I thought maybe you wanted me to end the conversation with her. And I was like, yeah, how are you going to do that? I tried like 16 times. I said I was married. But yeah, I'm never going to a singles event again, Dan.
I mean, don't say never.
Yeah, that's true.
You had one bad experience. It's a numbers game. You got to just keep getting back on that horse, man. Thank
you. I got to remember that. I got to remember that you try, you get back up. You fall down, you get up, you do it again. Mm-hmm. I'm going to meet someone. I think just like next, I'm going to aim for like a really nice 58-year-old. Just climb down the ladder.
The thing that confuses me, if she was doing a joke or if she was negging you, is that is not reconcilable with her sticking around to then hit on you.
Yeah.
Which is the vibe you got, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's disconcerting, by the way, to be hit on by somebody who is 20 or 30 years older than you. Part of me was at the time was like, oh, this is what women feel like. Or I'm like, yeah, clearly nothing's going to happen between us, but you're still trying.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I felt a little bad afterwards, not by what I had said to her. I was very kind and we did all the right things, but this poor woman looking for help and she went to a singles event without any knowledge that it was just going to be a bunch of fucking kids there.
That's going to live in my heart for a while as well. And like, maybe she's a kook and maybe she could be a bad person for all we know, but just only going by the details that I have, just the single panel comic version of 60-something-year-old woman getting dressed up to go to a singles event and being surrounded by 20-somethings is heartwarming and heartbreaking simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeing her, the thinking from her frame of reference, her going there, looking around and being like, oh no, I'm alone. Like that feeling again. And
right. And how it must feel like, I hadn't thought about this before, but how it probably feels like if you are in your 60s and single and you go to one of these events and you see nothing but 20-somethings and it's like, what are the 20s? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why do you need this? Just go to other bars and be young and single. It must seem to her so easy to be single in your 20s. Like, just find someone anywhere or don't find someone and enjoy your 20s. This needs to be for people in their 60s, their 50s, or whatever. And this I don't think she's a lunatic for thinking a singles night would be for her demographic.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, that there would at least be some other people that show up there that are of any age.
Yeah.
So anyway, I found her and I've been having sex with her.
That's nice.
I felt bad.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you got to give back.
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps up our show.
That'll do it.
Who knows what it's about? I don't even know why I spend any amount of time thinking about what I'm going to say in the intro. It doesn't fucking
Oh, sorry.
Show us a quick question, but you knew that already.
Moment.
Nope.
Don't do it.
Nope.
Go on.
We are recorded, edited, and produced by our president of podcast operations, Gabe Harder. Our theme song is by the incredible Me Rex. Their digital album is available at merex.bandcamp.com. You can find the show on Twitter at QQ_Soren and Dan. You can email the show at QQ with SorenandDaniel@gmail.com. You can find both Soren and I on Blue Sky, where we are sometimes doing jokes. You can find the show on Instagram, QQ_with_Soren_and_Daniel. You can find us on YouTube also. Soren, hit him with that link. Soren, hit him with that link.
It's coming. Just give me a second. The link is
when you kids hear this link, you're gonna flip.
YouTube.com/@QQ podcast.
Hey, all right.
Daniel, An American Dad and Simp for His Son was really good. It was,
and Family Guy and Animaniacs.
know.
There's a whole animation thing for you.
I was gonna, and like
drinking
you did it.
Coffee
I had a moment where I felt really bad, but I was already committed to a bit because I had been sipping through your intro too. And so I stepped on it. I stepped on it like it didn't matter, and I'm sorry. It was a really good intro.
Okay. That's all right. I'll just do it again.
Okay, let's do that one again. We'll try that one next week.
None of this is real. Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all go? Why do we know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien. Two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here.